Ladies and gentlemen, have you ever walked in your house and you've got teenagers, and you all know what kind of music they listen to? If it's girls, it's all, Katy Perry, Miley Cyrus, fucking whoever. And you ever find yourself when you walk into the house and that kind of music's playing, and you've heard it so often that your mouth automatically starts moving to the music because you remember the tune so well? Well, that's become my relationship with WWE's product. I turn it on. I already know what's going to happen. I already know the outcome. I already know what's going to happen next week because they follow a simple formula. Do what you did last week. Just switch it up just a tiny bit and just keep on going with it. That's what WWE Raw was tonight. Almost identical matches to what we seen last week, just a couple little tweaks. Just a couple little tweaks. And it's the exact same bullshit week in and week out. Now, I'm not going to say that every single match was crap. We had actually 2, maybe 3 matches that I could classify as well done or good. But forgive me, folks. But if I can't stay awake through the matches, there's something wrong. And I am sick to death about going through it week in and week out. You are watching Pillar to Post, folks. I'm here deep in the dungeon. And I am your host, Pete Wall. And tonight is your Raw report. Now, before we go any further, I'd like to kind of give you a little shout out for my sponsors. Why not? They do a lot for my channel. Today's podcast is brought to you by Audible. You can get a free audiobook download and a 30-day free trial at audibletrial.com/pillar to post. Now, they have over 180,000 titles for you to choose from for your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or MP3 player. Also, Grapple merch. Visit grapple.bigcartel.com, and when using this code Pillar to Post 77, you receive a discount courtesy of Pillar to Post and Grapple merch. They have a shitload of stuff. I wish they had a little bit more, but their main thing is Grapple Box. Now, Grapple Box 4 is out right now, and in a box you can receive up to 2, 3 t-shirts, 1 or 2 autographed photos from your favorite wrestlers, WWE Elite Wrestling figures in your very own Grapple Box. That is my sponsor's shout out. I'm going to be honest, I've been drinking just a slight little bit tonight, and I didn't want to have to go through a long thing. Now, the usual stuff is in the usual place, and that is in your description box below this video. You can find my sponsors' links there, and you can find the codes in order to get your discounts or free ebook download. My Teespring store is there as well, and my Circle of Steel store. You got my FB merch page, my FB author page, my FB homepage. If you want to send me a friend request, there is the option for that. You got my VidMe link. My Patreon channel link is also there. Visit www.patreon.com/pillar to post. If you want to help this channel out, you can pledge as low as $1 a month. And help the channel grow. Help the channel get where it needs to be. And you can follow me on Twitter at Pillar to Post 77. My email, as always, steeldragon1234@hotmail.com. And if you want to be a part of Big Dog Wrestling for the interviews, you want to use that in order to find my Skype handle. It is steeldragon1234. That is the best way to find it. But tonight, we started off the show, as always, either Miz is in the ring or Dean Ambrose is in the ring. And this week, they switched it up just a little bit. They had Dean Ambrose started off. Now, it wasn't a bad promo. I'm not going to shit all over the promo. It wasn't done badly. I'm just frankly sick and tired of the feud that we've seen for so long, and it's going absolutely nowhere. Okay, this started back in SmackDown. Dean Ambrose and The Miz both got transferred over to Raw, and they decided it wasn't done yet. They had to resume this rivalry. But frankly, what has this rivalry done for either of these men? You look at it hard enough. What has it done to elevate their careers? They're stuck right there where they were on SmackDown. They're stuck right where they were when they came to Raw. Right there down the middle, not moving an inch. No one's advancing. No one's going down. It just is. You know what? This feud is a good tribute to mediocrity. You want to make mediocrity look good, you throw these two in together and you continuously push this feud. Let's celebrate mediocrity with Dean Ambrose and The Miz. That's what it feels like to me. Now I need a drink because, like I said, been drinking a little bit. Got a good buzz going and my mouth is dry. So, we get Dean Ambrose walking down to the ring with a steel chair in hand. Vengeance, presumably, is on his mind as always. Ambrose's feud with The Miz reached a fever pitch last week. Ambrose introduces Music City USA to his new best friend, Steely Dan. That is the chair he used to beat the shit out of Miz last week. Now, Ambrose yells for Miz to come down to ringside so they can finish what they started so many months ago. Not exactly what he said, but you get my drift. Ambrose sits in the chair and waits, then remarks that if Bo Dallas and Kurt Axel aren't enough, Miz can bring his publicist, his stylist, and the cast of the stupid Christmas movie Miz was in. Miz doesn't come down to the ring either, doesn't go for it. Ambrose says if Miz doesn't come out, he's going to burst Miz's Hollywood bubble so fast, Miz is going to wake up back in the real world where he belongs. Now Ambrose, while he is asking for fights, he can't, Seth Rollins, I forgot. Seth Rollins walks to the ring and asks Ambrose why he is asking for fights he can't win. Last week, Ambrose told Rollins to stay out of his business, but Ambrose came out during Rollins' match last week. Rollins tells Ambrose that he is all over the place and he really should come up with a better plan. Ambrose calls Rollins Mr. Plan and Mr. Architect. Ambrose says planning isn't his thing, that's Rollins' thing. Rollins says Miz involved him in this when he got his way. Rollins just wants to know if when he brings the fight to The Miz, is Ambrose going to stand next to him or be in his way. Rollins calls Ambrose brother, which enrages Ambrose. Ambrose says he isn't Rollins' brother. Ambrose's brothers were in the Shield. His brothers stood for something. He trusted his brothers. Ambrose says he doesn't know who Rollins is. Ambrose used to know someone who looked like Rollins, but that guy took a chair, like the one he's holding now, and stabbed him in the back with it. Rollins says that was 3 years ago and that he is sorry. Rollins realized that he has never said that to Ambrose before, but he means it. Rollins reminds Ambrose that they tore each other apart in Hell in a Cell, and Ambrose cashed in his money in the bank on him as well. Rollins has moved on. He wants to know what it will take for Ambrose to do the same. Now Ambrose says he sees Rollins' lips moving, but he doesn't hear anything coming out of his mouth. Rollins turns his back and tells Ambrose to hit him with the chair as many times as he needs to get it out of his system. Now Ambrose thinks long and hard before tossing the chair out of the ring, and that's when Miz's music hits. Miz, Bo Dallas, Curtis Axel walk out on the ramp. Miz talks about what just happened in the ring, as a touching country song. Miz says Ambrose is never going to forgive Rollins, and Miz lists all of the times he has beaten Ambrose. Miz says Ambrose doesn't have the ability to defeat Miz. Dallas and Axel surround the ring. Miz says he may not be an architect, but Dallas and Axel and Miz all pull out chairs. Miz and his cronies beat down Ambrose and Rollins. Miz gives Rollins the skull-crushing finale on a steel chair. That was the opening of your show. Like I said, not a bad promo, not a bad way to start the show. But it all goes downhill from there to a certain extent. Now, following this promo and this beatdown, backstage, Miz tells Charlie he has nothing to say. He did his talking out in the ring tonight, and he just walks off. And up next is Bayley versus Alexa Bliss. Now, I gotta be honest, folks. How many times have we seen this match? Last week we seen it. Bayley got the win. This week we seen it again. And it looks like they're finally willing to give Bayley the shot once again and end that losing streak she's been on with Alexa Bliss and so many other women on the roster. So this is 2 weeks in a row where Bayley took out Alexa Bliss, but it's just back and forth, back and forth. Are we going to see any other people face Alexa Bliss at all besides Sasha Banks and Bayley? Because frankly, I'm tired of it, folks. I am. I fell asleep through this match. I had to get my wife to make sure the notes were taken so that I had something to talk about here. Because frankly, I don't know what happened. I crashed. I crashed hard. So, Bliss slaps Bayley in the face at the start of the match. Bayley picks Bliss up and slams her into the corner. Bliss turns Bayley around and lands a few strikes. Bayley lands a rolling clothesline. Bliss rolls out to the apron. Nia Jax comes to the ringside to back up Bliss. After a short break, Bliss is working a hammerlock. Bayley tries to fight out of it, but Bliss whips her down to the mat. Bliss traps both Bayley's arms and curb stomps her over and over and over again. Now Bayley manages to stun Bliss between the ropes. Bayley lands a few forearms before flapjacking Bliss into the top turnbuckle. Second rope elbow by Bayley, and then Bliss rolls to the outside of the ring. Now Bayley tries to follow, but Jax steps into her path. Bliss sneaks up and decks Bayley. Sasha Banks attacks Jax from behind. Banks drop kicks Jax into the ring apron, and Bayley rolls up Bliss, but Bliss kicks out. Now Bliss attempts a clothesline, but Bayley counters it into a Bayley to belly for the win. Bayley captures another victory over the women's champion. There you go. Now, like I said, I don't have an opinion of this match because I fell asleep through it. It was so fucking boring. I caught the first couple of seconds of it, crashed. Excuse me, I should say a little bit more in a couple of seconds, but you get my meaning, okay? It's just repeatedly done over and over and over again, and I'm tired of it. I am seriously tired of it. These women have a shitload of talent. They barely show us a damn thing that they've learned in wrestling school and throughout their career, and we're supposed to be excited for their matches. No, okay? A great ass, a nice set of tits, just ain't gonna cut it when you're there to watch wrestling. So up next, we get a backstage segment. Kurt Angle is pacing back and forth. Angle asks Graves if he should keep his secret to himself. Graves tells Angle this is the age of social media. It is going to get out no matter what. Graves tells Angle he needs to go to the ring and come clean. In Graves' opinion, Angle has nothing to be ashamed of. Angle thanks Graves for him being such a good friend. This has been going on for weeks now, and it's about time we came to a conclusion because, frankly, some of the scenarios that they were kind of going with and making it, kind of teasing sounded like Kurt Angle was going to come out and say he was gay, which isn't a bad thing, but I'm sorry, it just some of the storyline teases just kind of came off that way to me. And then we had this one where he was supposed to be in this love triangle with former TNA owner Dixie Carter. That was a big one. And tonight, the big reveal was about to happen, or it did happen, I should say, but that's later on in the show. We get another backstage segment. This time, Titus O'Neil is with Apollo Crews and Akira Tozawa. O'Neil points out that both of them have gotten beaten up the last few weeks. Arya Daivari walks in and asks if Tozawa has any honor at all. Daivari wants Tozawa to meet him in the ring tonight so they can finish what he started. Tozawa gladly accepts, and that match is for later on in the evening. Now, Brian Kendrick and Drew Gulak versus Jack Gallagher and Mustafa Ali. And this is the same type of cruiserweight match you're going to see every Monday night. Maybe 3 minutes tops. Such a fast match, it isn't even worth speaking about. But here we go. Kendrick gets Gallagher's face. Gulak tags in and forces Gallagher into the ropes. Gallagher trips Gulak and tries to wrap him up in a surfboard stretch. Gulak tries to fight out of it. Gallagher stomps on both of Gulak's knees. Kendrick blind tags himself in and stops Gallagher from tagging in. Gallagher headbutts Kendrick into next week. Ali tags in and hits the inverted 450 for the win. Your winners, Jack Gallagher and Mustafa Ali. And then is the in-ring segment with Enzo Amore, but I do need to quench my thirst a little bit. Now, I've been saying this for a while, and I'm going to say it again. Singles career, Enzo Amore does not have a shot. Okay? Make this guy a manager. He's got a mouth on him that he can go a mile and keep on still coming with that mouth. Give him a managerial role and put him to proper use. Alright? Don't even bother with the cruiserweight division with Enzo. Don't. Make him a manager. This is what he should have been for Big Cass in the end to begin with. He's got a whole lot of talk, and that is perfect for what a manager does. No, instead, you're going to have him get his face kicked in, week out, week in, week out. Same fucking thing as last week, and we got it again. I'm tired of it, folks. There is no possible way a guy that is as... I don't want to sound like an asshole, but ill-prepared for wrestling as Enzo Amore is, can do anything against a guy, no matter his wrestling ability, like Big Cass. Not a damn thing he's going to do it unless he goes straight for the nut shot. Okay? That's all. Make Cass a manager. I don't care for who. It could be for Big Cass. Maybe they patch things up a little bit. Who knows? Don't make him wrestle, because he downright sucks. Now, this wasn't a wrestling match, but we know what happens to Enzo every time he's in that ring alone. He gets his ass handed to him, his face booted down into his asshole, and what was the point of it all? So, Enzo says a bunch of stuff, as always. Stuff before finally getting to the point of sometimes you win some, sometimes you lose some. But you always have to get up. Enzo says he used to let Cass throw him at their opponents because he would do anything to win. When Cass would throw him, Cass was the only person left standing. Cass is 7 feet tall, but that didn't win them anything or any champions or championships. Cass said last week that he threw Enzo out of the ring and out of his life. Enzo says Cass may have thrown him out of the ring, but he got back in the ring and forced Cass to finish the fight just like he always did. Now last week Cass was standing in the ring holding his checkbook. On the Tron they show the Big Show. Cass confrontation, Enzo yells that Cass bounced the check. When Cass was face to face with someone his own size, Cass folded like a lawn chair. When Cass was face to face with someone his own... Okay, I just reread my own line. Before Enzo can tell Cass that he is soft, Cass walks out on the ramp. Cass walks over to the commentary desk and yells at Graves that this is all his fault. If it wasn't for Graves, none of this would be happening. Now Cass says he is going to come to the ring and destroy Enzo. Enzo tells Cass to come on out. Cass gets to the ring and Enzo rolls out. Enzo goes into the crowd, hops the barrier, and tells Cass he's going to sit here and watch Cass get that work. Big Show's music hits, and Show makes his way out to the ring. Same thing as last week, confrontation between these guys. Cass knocks Show off the apron as he's trying to get in the ring. Show pulls Cass to the floor. Show tosses Cass in the barricade over and over and over again. Cass tries to fight back, but Show swats him like a fly. Now, Show body slams Cass on the floor before chopping the heck out of him on the apron. Now, Cass pushes Show into the ring post back first. Show turns around and Cass pushes him into the ring post again. Cass dumps Show back into the ring. Cass punches Show over and over again. Show tries to stand up, but Cass keeps kicking Show in the ribs. Afraid of his new big buddy's situation, Enzo runs into the ring and makes the save, but Cass boots Enzo in the face and then exits the ring. Now, Show finally got to his feet, his face filled with rage. You could see there's going to be another confrontation. But we all know what's going to happen, folks. This is all to give Cass that push that he needs to get to the top. And who better than Big Show to do that? Honestly, no other giant is in there to actually push this guy. He has done it already for Braun Strowman, so why not do it for Cass as well? I don't think it's right. I think Enzo still has a long way to go. He needs to learn a bit more about the business. And if you haven't heard the rumors, he's now not allowed to get dressed in the dressing room with his fellow wrestlers because he pissed him off. So they gave him the Miz treatment. Miz did the same thing. He had to go and sit out in the hallway when he wanted to get dressed. That's where it needed to be done. So Big Cass having some issues backstage as well. We got another backstage segment. Charlie tells Roman Reigns that since Samoa Joe has beaten him twice, how can he come out on top? Now Reigns says Joe's wins against him are in the past. Just like Reigns won against The Undertaker is. It's about tonight. Tonight Reigns is the guy who is going to beat Samoa Joe. After that, he's going to defeat Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam and become the new Universal Champion. Same song, same dance. I'm fucking sick and tired of hearing that guy right there. Okay? Anything coming out of Roman Reigns' mouth, you might as well take a fucking, wipe your ass with it. Toss it away. Because it's the same fucking story. It's like hearing Randy Orton doing his promos. Every time. It's all about the same fucking shit. Get over it, guys. Learn some new material. Another backstage segment. This time Ambrose and Rollins are arguing about what happened earlier tonight. Angle walks in and tells them they will face any two members of the Miztourage. Ambrose says they will take on all three. Reluctantly, Rollins agrees. Angle quickly books the match. Bada bing, bada boom. Next week, that's what we got. And from last week, we come back full circle. Finn Balor versus Elias Samson. And we all know Elias Samson does his shtick, sits on a stool, has his guitar in hand. He wants to sing a song. Finn Balor's music kicks in, interrupts him, and steals his spotlight. So, what did I think of this match? It wasn't too bad, okay? I'm not going to shit totally on this match. It wasn't too bad, but frankly, you don't need to face the same guy week in and week out. Throw a little twist at the end to make it new, okay? You could have had Elias Samson come out after the match or during the match, attack Finn Balor when he was fighting someone else. Or vice versa. Okay? But no. WWE books the exact same matches as they did last week and think we're going to be happy about it. So, Balor snapmares Samson and kicks him in the back. Samson picks up Balor and tosses him clear across the ring. Samson floors Balor with a huge clothesline, and Samson locks in a full Nelson. Now Balor surprises Samson with a Pele kick, and Samson charges in, but Balor gets his boot up. Balor fires up and lands a basement drop kick. Balor tries to leapfrog over Samson, but Samson catches Balor in an electric chair into a powerbomb. Balor somehow manages to kick out, and a backbreaker by Samson follows that, mounts the top rope, but Balor kicks him off the top rope. We get a penalty kick on the apron by Balor. Samson stumbles to his feet. Balor hits the torpedo drop kick, which sends Samson careening into the barricade. Now Balor stalks Samson on the outside. Samson grabs his guitar and obliterates Balor with it. Balor is busted wide open on the side of his head. The referee has no choice but to DQ Samson. Your winner of the match, Finn Balor. Now that was basically the high spot of the match because the rest of it we basically seen last week. There's nothing new to this match. Nothing except for the ending. And he pulled a double J, smashed his fucking guitar over Balor's head, walked away grinning. Okay, a little twist. Yes, it heightens the feud. But like I said, it doesn't need to be week in, week out. Finn Balor versus Elias Samson. It doesn't need to be week in, week out. Bayley versus Alexa Bliss. Get my drift. I'm tired of it. This isn't good wrestling anymore. This is repetitive bullshit. Now after the match, Bray Wyatt appears on the screen and says his usual moniker bullshit. For some reason, Wyatt feels the need to punish Balor. Wyatt is the worst nightmare Balor has ever had. Wyatt is going to rain down souls and such things on top of Balor. The best part is Wyatt is going to enjoy every minute of it. Wyatt laughs as the screen fades to black. I love Bray Wyatt's promos. I always do. They're always a little bit on the creepy side. They always have that sinister cult leader feel to it. I like them. But what was it all worth with the feud with Seth Rollins? He just automatically turned his sights on Seth Rollins. It wasn't a good feud. And now all of a sudden, he's got his sights on Finn Balor. And we all know this is going to bring the demon back. The Demon King that lives inside Finn Balor. It's going to bring him up. And it's going to be the Demon King versus Bray Wyatt. God versus Demon. That's what they're aiming for here. So fucking predictable, it makes me sick. Now, is the match going to be a bad one between these two? No, I doubt it. But the outcome's going to be predictable. That's what I hate. We get another backstage segment. This time, Angle is on his phone. Banks and Bayley walk into his office and both plead their case for why they should be the number one contender for the Women's Championship. Angle says they are both deserving. Angle isn't going to decide. Bayley and Banks will. Next week they will face off. The winner gets a match against Bliss at SummerSlam. Who wants to bet it'll end up being, I don't know, a triple threat? Another backstage segment. This time Dash and Dawson say they attacked the Hardy Boys because why wouldn't they? They don't care about Hardys or their legacy. The revival guarantees that after tonight, the Hardy Boys will remember them and respect them. Need to quench the thirst, people. Sorry about it. Now, moving on. Akira Tozawa with Titus O'Neil in his corner, taking on Arya Daivari. Now, we joined this match already in progress after a break. Daivari is working over Tozawa's injured shoulder. Daivari whips Tozawa shoulder first into the turnbuckle. Tozawa kicks out. Daivari hits the ropes but eats a drop kick from Tozawa. Tozawa slips between Daivari's legs and takes him over with a belly to back. Now goes up top, but Daivari cuts him off. Daivari catches Tozawa with an arm DDT. Daivari is relentlessly working over Tozawa's shoulder. O'Neal finally, I guess worried for his man, gets on the apron and tells the referee to stop the match. The match is awarded then to Daivari. Now, during the match, it was clear that Tozawa landed wrong on his shoulder, could not defend himself any longer. O'Neal making the choice, take the loss instead of having Tozawa injured and out for months. And that's, I don't know, I guess Tozawa went off a little bit on O'Neal. Now, after the match, Tozawa yells at O'Neal. Tozawa yells he never quits and walks away. O'Neal tries to plead his case, does not help matters. Now, what did I think about the match? Well, actually, for once, there was a little bit of a twist. Kind of pulled an old school act where the manager asked the referee to end the match due to his wrestler not being able to continue to wrestle. I thought that was an interesting way and take to go about with the match, and it worked. So now Tozawa's going to have to basically heal up, and then it's going to be a feud between him and Daivari before Tozawa gets another shot at the Cruiserweight champ. That is Neville. Now, we are ready for the big reveal. Kurt Angle with his in-ring segment, and Angle says he is a little nervous. He apologizes for being a distraction to the WWE Universe for the last couple of months, and talks about how an action he took in the past would so drastically alter his life. Angle says he has spoken to the WWE and his family, and both are supportive of his announcement. Now, back in college, Angle dated a young woman. After he graduated, she gave birth to a boy. Angle had no idea. The child was given up for adoption. Now, the child was adopted by two parents who taught him great American values. Angle lists all of the child's accomplishments. The child eventually grew up and decided he wanted to wrestle. He eventually made his way to the WWE as well. Now, Angle finally introduces us to his son, the newest member of Raw, Jason Jordan. So Jason Jordan walks out and gets in the ring. Angle and Jordan hug it out. Nothing is said between the two, just hugging. Now, there was a lot of rumors going around online, and all had to do with former TNA owner and Angle having some kind of romantic affair. Sadly, boys, and happily, I did not report on that because I've been so busy. I didn't assume as much as you guys did and turn myself into a huge ass. But still, this story is kind of weird in itself. So, not a bad way, but to me it seems odd. You have a great tag team like American Alpha. You break them apart. And I know these guys have shown that they can be great singles competitors. But with such a big, drastic need for tag teams, you're going to break up an excellent team like American Alpha for a storyline like this. I don't know what to say anymore. The writers, the storyliners, the management of WWE has their heads so far each other's asses that they don't think things through clearly, and we lose another good tag team. Makes absolutely no sense. Up next, The Revival versus the Hardy Boys. Not a bad match, but I have to say one thing. All those people begging, pleading for the Broken Universe to arrive on Monday Night Raw and in WWE itself, guys, you know what? Give it up. Last couple of weeks, since they came back, I have noticed it so strongly how bad a shape Jeff Hardy and Matt Hardy are truly in. These guys hobble to the ring. They hobble through the match. Their rhythm is off. Their timing is off. It doesn't look good anymore, guys. The Hardys are a nostalgic act. Okay? Let it sink in. I love the Hardys to death. I love what they've done to the business. But frankly, when you start moving that bad, you have to start thinking about the rest of your life. You know, I had to take that into consideration after my accident. I had to really take in the fact I could not do the things I used to do. These guys still push each other beyond their means and limits, and it's making them look worse and worse as they go on. I'm sorry for all of you Hardy Boys fans. It's my opinion. And then they have a team like Revival come in. And I'm sorry, man, but Revival looks young, clean, fast, and they are a throwback. It is awesome to see. You guys think of Minnesota Wrecking Crew, and I've mentioned it many times, and it was good to hear it come out of the mouths of the commentators tonight. The Revival is a good throwback team, and they make the Hardys look even worse because they can move so smoothly, and the Hardys have struggled. They struggle to keep on going in that match. Not a good thing to see, people. Okay? So I am sorry, but I'm tired of you guys all begging for the broken universe to return. I want these guys to finish off their career, go home, have a good fucking life away from wrestling, and maybe, just maybe, their bodies can heal enough that they can keep on walking till the day they drop. Because at this point, I don't know, man. It looks like they're going to be fighting each other in wheelchairs at this point. Now, as soon as Dash and Dawson get in the ring, Matt and Jeff Hardy attack them clean off. Dash and Dawson roll out of the ring to stop the assault. Matt stomps Dawson in the corner before tagging in Jeff. Now, Jeff slams Dawson's head into the turnbuckle to get a huge clothesline by Jeff. Jeff tags in Matt, who decks Dawson. Dawson and Wilder beat down Matt in their corner. Matt grabs Dawson's head and slams it into all three turnbuckles. Get a clothesline into a bulldog by Matt for a near fall. Jeff hits a splash as Matt hits an elbow drop. Wilder gets in the ring and the Hardys hit a tandem wheelbarrow throw. Wilder tumbles clear out of the ring. Looked funny as hell. I think he oversold it just a little bit too much. We go to commercial break, but after the commercial break, Wilder is in control, drop kicks Matt in the knee. Dawson works over Matt's knee. Dawson sets Wilder up in a tree of woe. Dawson sets Matt Hardy up in a tree of woe. Wilder and Dawson punch Matt in the knee. Wilder takes a moment to gloat, but Jeff blasts him from behind. Dawson locks in a modified knee bar, and Dawson and Wilder are tagging in and out, working over Matt's knee. She showed great tag team ability in this match, did Dawson and Dash. Matt sends Dawson to the outside. Matt slowly crawls to tag in Jeff, but Wilder tries to cut Matt off. Matt gives a huge back body drop, makes the tag. Jeff clears the ring. Second rope splash by Jeff. Wilder kicks out of the pinfall. Dawson distracts Jeff long enough for Wilder to attack him from behind. Matt pulls Wilder out of the ring. Jeff hits the twist of fate on Dawson. We get a modified poetry motion by the Hardys, and Jeff goes up top for the swanton. Wilder, however, pushes Jeff off the rope, crotches him, and Dawson pins Jeff with a handful of tights. Your winners, the Revival. It wasn't a bad match. I'm not saying it was bad. It's just the Revival looks so far out. They look so far better and so far above the abilities of the Hardys in this match. It just made the Hardys look bad and weak. Get another backstage segment. This time Charlie is with Samoa Joe. Charlie asks Joe if he has any qualms about facing Reigns tonight. Joe says he isn't a man who possesses qualms. Joe says he showed the world that he doesn't fear Lesnar, At Great Balls of Fire, he came within inches of beating him. Reigns has made the mistake of thinking Joe is just an obstacle in his way. Joe is a force of nature. He will go on and defeat the Beast at SummerSlam. And we get another backstage segment. O'Neil trying to explain to Tozawa that the reason he had the match stopped is that he was worried about Tozawa's future. Now Tozawa will have none of it. Tozawa says he wants a match against Daivari on 205 Live. And that leads us into our number one contenders match and the main event of the evening. That is Roman Reigns versus Samoa Joe. And they both are hungry to face Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam. Now, the match starts off with a side headlock by Roman Reigns. Joe hits the ropes for a shoulder block, but Reigns doesn't go down. Joe slaps Reigns. Reigns levels Joe with a shoulder block. Joe ends up on the outside. Joe tries to get in the ring, but Reigns keeps knocking him off the apron with right hand after right hand. Now, after a short break, Joe crushes Reigns with a running back elbow, followed by a falling enziguri in it for a near fall. Joe clenches Reigns and knees him in the face. Joe lands a few rights. Reigns surprises Joe with a roll-up. Joe easily kicks out. Joe elbows Reigns in the face again. Multiple Mongolian chops by Joe to the shoulders. And Joe locks in a neck vice. Reigns tries to fight out of the hold. Joe flips Reigns over with a suplex. Joe goes back to the neck vice. Joe tries a Uranagi, but Reigns counters and lands a clothesline. Multiple corner clotheslines by Reigns follows. Joe stumbles out of the corner. Reigns floors him with a running big boot. And if you didn't see it, they even did a replay, and it looked like that boot connected full on with his face, squashed that already multiple time broken nose of Samoa Joe, and his whole face contorted with the pressure of that boot. Reigns calls for the Superman punch, but Joe rolls out of the ring. Now Reigns follows and attempts the drive-by. Joe moves and almost decapitates Reigns with a lariat. Reigns lands hard on the apron. Reigns stumbles to his feet. Joe charges in and eats a clothesline from Reigns. Now both of them at this point are flat out on the arena floor. Joe badmouths Reigns after we come back from a commercial break. Reigns fires up and lands a flurry of punches. Joe tries a Samoan drop on Reigns. Reigns reverses and hits a Samoan drop of his own. Joe kicks out. Joe picks up Reigns and inverted atomic drops him. Joe hits a running senton for a near fall. Joe tries to set up the Uranagi, but Reigns fights Joe off and blasts him with a Superman punch. Joe surprisingly manages to kick out of a pinfall predicament, and a familiar roar blares throughout the arena PA system. It's Braun Strowman. He power walks to the ring. Strowman pulls Joe out of the ring. Reigns tries to attack Strowman before Strowman can attack him. Strowman picks up Reigns and tosses him back into the ring like a fucking lawn dart. Or yesterday's garbage. Or last week's used tampon. Joe gets to his feet and gets in Strowman's face. Strowman and Joe start to brawl. Joe gets the advantage after multiple leg kicks, and Joe tries to whip Strowman into the post, but Strowman will not budge. Strowman short arm clotheslines Joe out of his boots. Back in the ring, Strowman splashes Reigns. Joe gets in the ring and eats a splash as well. Joe grabs Strowman and locks in a coquina clutch. Reigns Superman punches Strowman. Strowman falls on Joe into the corner. Joe releases the hold. Reigns charges at Strowman, but Strowman destroys Reigns with a huge spine buster. Strowman delivers running power slams to Joe, and Strowman picks up Reigns and hits him with a running power slam as well. Now Strowman is about to leave the ring, but decides to come back and hits another running power slam on Reigns, and finally exits the ring. The winner of this match, absolutely nobody, except for the fans. Okay? They got a great fight between Roman Reigns, Samoa Joe, and then they had Braun Strowman come in and annihilate both of these guys. So who's to say that this doesn't turn into a fatal four-way at SummerSlam? That is something I'd be intrigued about. I would love to see that. Braun Strowman kicking the crap not just out of Roman Reigns, Samoa Joe, but also Brock Lesnar. Because who doesn't at this point want to kick Brock Lesnar in the face? Honestly. Okay, the guy does absolutely nothing for the business. Yes, he finally had not a bad match with Samoa Joe at the last pay-per-view. It could have been so much better, though, if this guy would actually want to wrestle. He doesn't want to wrestle anymore. He just wants to do German suplexes and say, "Welcome to Suplex City, bitch." Well, you know what? Welcome to the foot of the nation, asshole. I'd love to boot you in the face myself. So, like I said, for the majority of the show, same thing we get week in, week out. We had a good tag team match with the Revival and the Hardy Boys. Didn't have a bad match with Finn Balor and Elias Sampson. Had a pretty damn good ending to the show. Braun Strowman annihilating Roman Reigns is never a bad thing, and you're never going to hear this guy cry about it. I want to thank you all for joining me. My name is Pete Wall, as always, and you've been watching Pillar to Post. Have a good night, folks.